I was happy to have you on the show because I think it's so important to hear your side of the story and how you're feeling. And I feel like there's something that you can say that can actually help so many other women out there.
Now, we don't know if the child is his or not, right? If it happens to become his, what will happen with your relationship? Do you know yet?
Well, I damn sure ain't paying no woman.
Oh.
Or having no parts in no damn child support. You better believe that.
Long before the fame, cameras, and controversies, Rasheeda and Kirk were simply two individuals with ambitious dreams. Rasheeda, a passionate young woman deeply committed to music, always aspired to succeed in the hip-hop industry. She was driven, ambitious, and unafraid to fight for her dreams. Yet, alongside her love for music, she yearned for a partner who would understand her vision, someone who would stand by her in both life and career. This is when Kirk Frost entered her life. Kirk was an emerging talent in the industry, recognized for his connections and remarkable ability to spot potential. Upon meeting Rasheeda, he saw something unique in her raw talent that, with proper guidance, could become exceptional. He offered not only that guidance but something deeper. He became her greatest supporter, confidant, and eventually her partner. Together, they appeared unstoppable, bound by love and a shared ambition. Their early years were filled with late-night studio sessions, shared goals, and whispered promises. They uplifted each other, encouraging one another to aim higher and dream bigger. Kirk was more than just Rasheeda's manager, he was her rock, the one person who understood the sacrifices she was willing to make for her career. For a time, it seemed like nothing could shake the strong foundation they had built. However, they couldn't foresee how fame, fortune, and public scrutiny would eventually test their relationship.
I felt kind of left alone, like you my friend and you not giving me, like I need help right now. And I felt like you was just still career. You was there a little bit, but not as much as I needed you. So I began to react in a way that I didn't even recognize. But again, I never been put in that position before, so I just did things to really piss off.
When Rasheeda and Kirk joined Love Hip Hop Atlanta, they had no idea how drastically their lives would change. Suddenly, they weren't just a couple with big dreams, they became public figures, with every detail of their lives exposed to millions. At first, they welcomed the attention, enjoying the spotlight and the opportunities it brought. But as the cameras kept rolling, the pressure began to grow. The show portrayed them as a power couple, a symbol of love and teamwork in the often chaotic world of hip-hop. Yet, behind the scenes, the cracks in their relationship were already forming. The demands of reality TV meant that their private struggles were displayed for the world to see. Disputes that could have been resolved privately were now broadcast, judged by fans and critics alike. Rasheeda found the constant exposure draining. She felt as though she always had to put on a brave face, projecting strength even when she was struggling to hold things together. Her relationship with Kirk, once her safe place, began to feel like a performance she had to uphold for the sake of her career and public image. The first serious blow came during a cast trip, when rumors of Kirk's infidelity began to surface. Rasheeda was blindsided, heartbroken to learn that the man she trusted had betrayed her. The pain wasn't just from the affair itself, but from the public humiliation, knowing her heartbreak was fodder for the same audience that once idolized their love. Although hurt, she chose to stay, convincing herself it was for their family and the life they'd built together. She hoped they could heal, and that their early love would carry them through the storm. Yet, even as she tried to forgive, a part of her knew things would never be the same. The affair marked a turning point, a wound that would never fully heal. Every glance at Kirk reminded her of his betrayal and broken promises. Trust, once a given, now had to be rebuilt slowly, piece by piece, and remained fragile, easily shattered by a careless word or action.
Going through issues in your relationship can either destroy the relationship or it can make it stronger. Right now, we don't know what it's going to do. We don't know where it's going to end up at. So I'm not destroying anything. I'm just speaking for what I felt. Like, I feel like you need to stick behind me. And if I'm telling you I'm going through something, help me figure it out. I've helped you figure out your life for 18, 19 years. If I get in a rough spot and I need you, don't throw me out to the wolves and go hang with Benzina. Be there.
Just as they were regaining some stability, another scandal struck, threatening to tear their relationship apart. News surfaced that Kirk had fathered a child with another woman, Jasmine, while married to Rasheeda. This revelation left her devastated, forcing her to confront her husband's actions both as a wife and a public figure. The cameras captured every tear and heartbreak, making her private pain a public spectacle. Initially, Kirk denied the child was his, hoping to mitigate the fallout. But a DNA test confirmed Rasheeda's worst fears: Kirk was indeed the father. This betrayal was even harder to bear, as she had to endure it in front of millions of viewers, her every reaction scrutinized. For Rasheeda, this scandal went beyond wounded pride. It was a breaking point. She had once tried to forgive and rebuild the trust shattered between them. But this time, the hurt ran too deep, leading her to question everything about their relationship.
I think people need to look at their own self in the mirror and just say what they think they really are instead of looking at somebody else and want to throw it on somebody. Just talk about what you really are to yourself.
Despite everything, Rasheeda chose to stay. She told herself it was for their children and the family they had created. But deep down, she knew things would never be the same. The trust that once anchored their relationship was gone, replaced by a fragile facade that could fall apart at any moment. Each day became a struggle between her love for her family and the resentment simmering beneath the surface. She felt trapped, torn between the life she had built and the realization that she deserved better. Even as she fought to hold her family together, she sensed that she was losing herself in the process. 6. Their children were also affected by the turmoil. They had witnessed their parents build a life together, experiencing the love and support that once defined their family. Now, they were seeing it all unravel, facing the painful truth that their family was breaking apart. Rasheeda wanted to protect them from the pain, to shield them from the knowledge of their father's betrayals. But no matter how much she tried, she couldn't hide the truth. The tension in their home was unmistakable, a constant reminder of the cracks in their once solid foundation. 7. As the years passed, Rasheeda came to realize that she couldn't go on like this. The sacrifices and pain she had endured had taken their toll. She had given everything to her marriage and family, yet she now felt empty, a shadow of the woman she once was. She knew she deserved happiness, that she couldn't continue to sacrifice her joy for a relationship that no longer fulfilled her. And so after years of trying to make it work, she decided to leave. It wasn't an easy choice. Walking away from the life she had built was daunting. But she understood that it was the only way to reclaim her life and find the happiness she had long denied herself. 8. Kirk lay awake most nights, wrestling with the memories of a life that now felt painfully out of reach. Images of Rasheeda's smile, her ambition, and the fierce loyalty she'd shown him through years of ups and downs flooded his mind. He thought back to the times she had stood by his side, even when he had given her every reason to leave. Regret washed over him, mingling with guilt as he realized how much he had taken her for granted. Kirk couldn't shake the memories of his own choices, the decisions that had led them to this point. He knew he had no one to blame but himself. He had betrayed Rasheeda's trust, fractured their family, and damaged the relationship that had once meant everything to him. Now, with the reality of a potential divorce looming, he felt an emptiness that he couldn't ignore. He had always prided himself on being a strong man, a supportive partner, but now, facing the consequences of his actions, he felt vulnerable, exposed, and filled with remorse. Every attempt to talk to Rasheeda, to make amends, was met with an icy silence. She no longer seemed to believe in his promises or his apologies. And deep down, Kirk couldn't blame her. Their children, too, were grappling with the fallout of their parents' crumbling marriage. They had grown up watching their parents build a life together, had seen the love and admiration that had once been the cornerstone of their family. Now they were old enough to understand the tension in the air, the unspoken words, and the heartbreak that simmered beneath the surface. Their son, in particular, struggled to make sense of what was happening. He idolized his father, saw him as a role model, and couldn't understand how someone he looked up to could hurt his mother in such a profound way. His confusion turned into anger, directed not only at his father but at the situation itself, the relentless cycle of hurt and betrayal that had consumed their family. Rasheeda tried her best to shield her children from the pain, to keep their lives as normal as possible. But she couldn't hide the sadness in her eyes, the weariness in her voice. She knew that her decision to leave Kirk would affect them deeply, but she also knew that staying in a toxic relationship would ultimately do more harm than good. She wanted to show them what it meant to be strong, to put her own happiness first, even if it meant letting go of the life they had always known. As Rasheeda sat alone in her bedroom, she felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. She had spent years trying to make her marriage work, putting her dreams and her happiness on hold for the sake of her family. But now, as she looked back on all the sacrifices she had made, she wondered if it had been worth it. Rasheeda had always believed in love, in the idea of a partnership that could withstand any storm. But now she felt as though she had been holding on to an illusion, a fantasy that no longer existed. The trust she had once felt was shattered, replaced by a constant ache, a lingering sadness that had become her constant companion. Leaving Kirk would mean stepping into the unknown, letting go of a life she had spent years building. It would mean facing the scrutiny of the public eye, answering questions from fans and followers who had watched their love story unfold on screen. But more than that, it would mean giving up on the dream of a happy family, of a future where they could grow old together. Yet, as difficult as it was, Rasheeda knew that staying in a broken relationship was no longer an option. She had given Kirk chance after chance, hoping that he would change, that he would finally understand the depth of her love and loyalty. But now, she realized that she couldn't keep sacrificing her happiness for someone who didn't value it. The decision to move forward with a divorce was only the beginning. Rasheeda and Kirk's lives were deeply intertwined not only as a married couple but as business partners. Together, they had built a successful brand, a popular store, and various other ventures that had become an integral part of their identities. But now, all of that was in jeopardy. As they entered the divorce proceedings, Rasheeda was forced to confront the financial implications of her decision. She had invested years of hard work, dedication, and passion into their businesses, and the thought of losing it all was daunting. Untangling their assets would be complicated, and she worried about how it would impact not only her own future, but also the stability of her family. But despite the challenges, Rasheeda felt a newfound sense of determination. She was ready to fight for what was rightfully hers, to protect the legacy she had worked so hard to build. This was her chance to reclaim her independence, to take control of her life, and to finally put her own needs first. The process would be long and arduous, but she was willing to face it head-on. In the months that followed, Rasheeda embarked on a journey of self-discovery. She had spent so many years putting others first: her husband, her children, her career, that she had forgotten what it meant to live for herself. Now, as she began to rebuild her life, she found herself rediscovering passions she had long buried, dreams she had set aside in the name of love and loyalty. She threw herself into her work, finding solace in the creative process and the satisfaction of building something that was entirely her own. She spent more time with her children, reconnecting with them in ways that had been difficult when her marriage had been in turmoil. And as she began to heal, she felt a renewed sense of purpose, a clarity that had eluded her for so long. Rasheeda also began exploring new interests, things she had always wanted to do but had never made time for. She took up painting, went on solo trips, and started practicing meditation. She found joy in the simple things, in moments of peace and solitude that allowed her to reconnect with herself.